smash the like button, and subscribe. I don't know why I'd be debating about things that you don't believe. Like
because you're wanting reasons why Trump is in office, right?
yeah, what are the reasons? No, I'm asking you, what are your reasons for supporting Trump?
Yeah, and I've talked to you a little bit about that.
Yeah, but you want to clarify your specific positions?
In word salads, I'd say.
Yeah, just clarify
words have meaning.
Just clarify your specific position.
I can tell you in 34 years of life, like going through when I was in kindergarten, the election between Gore and Bush, I can't really pinpoint any president in 34 years that have impacted my life. I can't see it. So like as far as point positions and policies.
So essentially your point is that you don't see anything Democrats have done for your life.
I don't see Democrats. I don't see Republicans. I don't see exactly.
Well, how about this? How about this?
I see how they dislike each other.
How about this? Did you go to public school?
Yes.
Hello? Where the did public school come from? Did you use public roads? Did you use public infrastructure?
And that's where I'm saying. So my biggest argument
every single day you benefit from government policy. Every single day.
And so
that is the reality of things. So let's think about this. Can government be used in a way in which is beneficial towards people? Absolutely.
Yes.
You benefit from government. Yes. You have benefit from government. You said that you didn't benefit from government. What I'm saying then is to then say, wait. If you say right now that you haven't seen enough of an impact that you would like to see, well, then that just means that we need to do more. And who's actually advocating for doing more? Not Donald Trump and the Republicans. Right, it's Kamala Harris. She was advocating to do more, specifically with the child tax credit, with the $2,000 cap on pharmaceuticals out of pocket, $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers for new homes. Right, she was specifically advocating for tax cuts for those who were under $400,000 a year. Right, specifically funding that by increasing taxes on those whose income is over $400,000 a year, only on their income over $400,000 a year.
Is that before? Is it over $400,000 before taxes or after taxes? That kind of stuff matters.
What do you mean? I'm confused what you're asking. Like, of course.
Because that 400,000, if you make that 400,000, now you're at 180, right off the rip, paying federal, state,
what,
Medicaid, Social Security.
What are you talking about, dude? You'd be talking about extra state tax on top of that. So what state are you referencing?
Well, if that was the case, if I'm gonna get charged more, because like in a year and a half, I'll be in the 37% tax bracket.
Yeah, 37% is a hell of a lot away from 50%.
Well, that's 37% from the Fed.
Yeah.
37% is from the Fed.
Yeah, I'm so you must be referencing the state taxes. Well,
yeah, I'm referencing.
Well, Trump fucked you over by getting rid of the ability to, deduct state taxes from your federal.
I know. That's why I need to move to Florida, Tennessee, or Texas. In North Carolina, you get crushed. Especially when you're in that like 27%, 26% tax bracket.
Yeah, so in North Carolina, what's the state tax in North Carolina?
We'll say, are we 6.9?
So do the math.
That's off the top of my head.
What is 37
it
plus
might not 6.9.
What's 37 plus 6.9?
43.9.
There you go. So you're not even paying over half, like you were saying, 43, 44%. Right, is different than that. Secondly, I just want to let you know, Canadians are also paying a very similar tax rate, if not less. And it is the case that they literally have universal health care.
Yeah, but their universal health care does not come close to our health care. It doesn't come close.
You think our healthcare system is better when 45 to 68,000 Americans die every single year due to lack of health insurance?
Yeah,
the wait times for the 45 to 68,000 Americans is infinite because they're dead. Because they're literally dead because they didn't get preventative health care. That's the wait times for them. Death.
Are we talking preventative health care if you don't have health insurance and you're not getting a colonoscopy?
I'm talking about in the United States. That's a specific example.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Things that you don't, things that are not insured, things that people can't get specifically because they can't afford it. Right? There are plenty of conditions like that in the United States where people can't get access to that care because they can't afford it. They often don't go right to the doctor commonly because it's the case that they can't afford it.
The insurance doesn't even help them. I see that. I see that because the insurance says we're not covering that medication, and it's like my wife calls the medication in and says. So
you're paying for it and then you get nothing from it when it actually comes push or shove. Like when push comes to shove. Like you actually.
I'm not saying it's perfect. I never said it was perfect. I said it was better than Canada.
No, based on what metrics? On average, it's definitely worse.
So you're telling me
you'd say it's better for people who have like exorbitant levels of money and are millionaires and billionaires. Sure. Yeah, but like, what's the point of that? I care about it being better for most people. I don't care about it just being better for the millionaires and billionaires. I think that we could create a system where we can provide for everyone, and then we can also have a good system for the millionaires and billionaires because they have a ton of money to pay for that good system. They can do it themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's create a system that's a baseline for everyone that those billionaires still have to pay into because that's their duty to society. Society gave them wealth. Society made them rich. So they have a duty to pay back to society to ensure that people have healthcare, childcare, housing affordability, basic things that they need in order to have a flourishing life in this country.
I am 100% on board if you met me in the middle and you hire 100,000 instead of the IRS jobs. You hire 100,000, we'll call them accountability for our program, right? And they're making sure that I heard someone talking about assimilation on one of these threads, and I brought up assimilation, but that they
what why'd you just say that? What do you mean? What do you think is assimilation? Why do you think people should have to assimilate?
Well, you have to assimilate to the community and work together to be a part of the community and work together.
In what ways are you viewing that? Because I could see you saying that in terms of like, oh, like everyone has to do that in terms of they don't murder people or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's assimilating, right? Don't like that's
okay.
Yeah,
so if that's the way that you're referring to it,
yeah,
that's different.
And I'm referring to that you pay taxes, and I'm referring to it just like you. I guarantee you, even though you have all these views.
So when you say people have to assimilate, you're assuming that they don't already have those characteristics, which is then a harmful thing. Because I would say that most people of around the entire world know it's wrong to murder them. So then, what specific things are you referencing?
That's more. So I'll go into a specific thing. You asked. I'll go into a specific thing. I guarantee you do not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and you do not. You support our country, correct?
Do I support? I don't support our country in all its actions, but I definitely.
Neither do I. Either do I.
Do I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I haven't had to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance for a while. There's some times where I haven't.
National anthem, Pledge of Allegiance, whatever. I'm just saying, like, being a part of our country.
Okay, so like, I want a country that I want to be in a country where I'm like proud, right?
You're not proud to be an American?
Not right now. That's my point. I'm really not right now.
Come on.
Come on. And let me tell you why.
Yeah, tell me why.
When I have Donald Trump as my president, that doesn't make me very proud to be an American.
Well, he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone in 3 years. Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe when he's gone and there's someone else in the position of presidency, I might feel differently, right? But right now,
250 days ago.
Listen.
250 days ago, were you proud to be an American?
I want you to listen. I don't necessarily feel proud to be an American in that respect. I would like to feel proud to be an American, and I want to create a country I'm proud to be, right, a member of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I genuinely I'm not proud of the state this country is in right now, and that is something I have to be able to admit in order to be like, how can we make the country better off? In order to be able to actually make the country better off, if you actually care about the country, you will acknowledge what's wrong about the country and what we need to do to make the country a better place, because you care about the constituents within the country. What is really loving about this country and shows you really love and care about this country is willing to admit when this country does wrong and willing to admit when this country needs to do something better, right? In a genuine manner. Yeah. I'm not being disingenuous. I'm being totally genuine, right? Like, I genuinely think that these things are wrong.
You can think all those things and you can still be proud to be an American, though. That's what I'm saying. And so, like, to what I said in the very initial stance, I said for small government, right? And we're talking about assimilation, community, being inside of a county. I'm talking knowing your neighbors, because we've gotten away from that. If that's what you're saying about being proud to be American, do we help our neighbors? No, we don't help. You're giving people a voice.
That's exactly what I'm saying. This country does not stand upon the values that it said it does. Right? It doesn't stand on the rule of law and democracy. It doesn't stand on providing for constituents and people in need. Donald Trump is going against the rule of law, against our democracy, against our court system. He's undermining food stamps, funding for food stamps and Medicaid, right? Things that people literally need in this country, right? That's so anti-American. If we're talking about being anti-American, let's talk about the policies that are anti-American that harm people in need. Let's talk about that, those policies that specifically Donald Trump's engaging in so that he could do massive tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires and his rich buddies.
Yeah, the tax. Yeah, I mean, once you're rich enough to know the tax laws and do that, then you got it made.
Oh, and
Your
also the
money is gonna
market
be
manipulation too. Don't even get me
Yeah,
started
I
on
agree.
that.
Hey, I agree with that. I'm just a pawn, man. Even when my wife
You
is
got
making,
conned, bro, and you realize it,
yeah.
and
Hey,
you got
and I'm
conned, you
I'm gonna be
realize it, and
the
you're like, I'm still
hey.
gonna support him.
No, I'm going to support America. But back to your point where you said we have to help each other, yes. But also, being an American citizen is holding accountability and also just doing something. Do something, right? And I'm not saying everybody can do something. And I'm not saying that we should not help the poor when you're saying about all these cuts. No, we should help. We should help. But also, everyone should have accountability in that community. Now, how we do that, I'll give you the one answer, and then I've been giving you like word salads, not making sense whatsoever, but it's been fun. Uh, I'll leave you one thing how we do that.
How about this?
Okay.
Can you give me 2 Donald Trump policies that benefit Americans?
Well, this isn't his policy is all about school choice, right? He's got a policy that he wants the Department of Education. I love, hey,
Get rid
I
of the Department of
love.
Education is harmful towards
Listen,
Americans.
no, it's not. That's what
Yes,
I'm
it
talking
is.
about. That's waste. No, that's waste. Because
No, it's not. It
listen to my
provides
argument.
educational rights for many students in this country that would not have those
No,
federally protected educational rights if it is the case
no.
that the Department of Education did not exist. So what you're doing is
Listen,
going to harm plenty of students in this country and their educational rights, because education is absolutely a right.
yeah. Let me get to my point. You just gave me a word salad. Like that's
That's
what I
not
was
a
talking
word
about.
salad. Saying education is a right and saying that there are going to be federal protections that are lost because you get rid of the Department of Education that particularly protect the
Kids.
rights for students for education, right, is not a word salad. That is very specific.
Okay, can I give a like not pivot, but can I give a rebuttal on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't interrupt me for like give me 40 seconds. So to that point, okay, kids are not losing IEP privileges with destroying the Department of Education. And when I said my initial comment about small government, that right there gets rid of the Fed, right? And that takes it to the community. That money that you were spending on the Fed, put it in your community. And here's what I would do with the money. I would put, and this would solve because kids who are blessed and who aren't blessed with family members who care about the education, family members who know about their education rights, I would put first grade teachers, I'd create first grade academies, 2 teachers in every classroom in America. Okay. And I would give every single kid in America, because it's mandatory that you attend school, I would give every kid the chance to learn to read.
Yeah, to me that sounds like you want federal protections for educational rights, but you think you're doing it by getting rid of the federal protections for educational rights.
No, I'm just saying,
like,
I would take that money.
here's what you want. You want to reform the Department of Education. You don't want to
Yes.
get rid of it. Donald Trump wants to abolish the Department of Education. You know why he wants to do that? Because, to be totally frank with you, right, it's going to get him more voters.
So here's my question. The Department of Education, all that money is going to them. Are they in charge of who is facilitating money to Title I schools?
What's up? Say that one more time.
The Department of Education, are they in charge of who is like facilitating and pushing the money to Title I schools, which is a government entity? Like, are they pushing Title I money to schools?
I'd have to check.
Check real quick. Just check who gives Title I money to schools, and that's low socioeconomic individuals, like individual school systems. Where does that money come from?
Yes,
because that got cut.
Okay, so the Department of Education allows states to use Title I money to give families more choices and how their kids are educated.
Yeah, so the Title I
supporting
funding.
executive order. You're talking about expanding educational freedom. Is that what you're trying to? That's
No.
See, the thing is,
Title I funding.
It's claimed as educational freedom, but here's what I'm going to tell you is a lot of this, right? If you have school systems that are doing bad, right, and it's based upon the funding that they get per student. If students leave that school system because it's bad and they go to other areas because their families could take them to those other areas, the kids that are specifically stuck in that particular school, because that's the school that's close to them, and that's why they specifically go to that school, right? That school is going to get significantly less funding, and they're going to get worse education, and that's not good. So we want listen. We want federally determined educational rights for everyone,
That's not federal. That's state and local. That's the local county telling how.
I understand, but federally determined educational rights ensure that in every state and local area that this particular standard of education is provided.
But again, that's as far as like IEPs. Okay, that's as far as the standards of IEPs. If I want the federal of education, I want them to go across the board with standards again in first grade for the whole nation and teach every first grader to read. And then, because do you know in third grade, if they don't know how to read by even second grade, the state testing in every state turns into comprehension, not teaching reading, comprehension of what they're reading. And that's why you have a problem in public schools. So it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it. If they aren't blessed with parents who care.
It does matter the amount of money you throw at it. But
no,
you also,
it doesn't.
But listen, but you also.
It doesn't.
You also have to create a culture, right?
That comes from the community.
Listen, a culture of good teachers, right? That are in these particular areas. And along with that comes with paying teachers a lot more.
So pay the teachers, get rid of the Department of Education and pay the teachers.
That just doesn't make any sense. The way that you would make sure that they would be paid more on a like a higher basis could be through standards set by the Department of Education.
Well, then get rid of the state department, because why do you need a state Department of Education and a federal Department of Education? Because each state is run differently. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. So like, who's going to bail out? I work in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools. They ran. Now tell me how a school system runs a $42 million budget. Like they ran a deficit of $42 million in a year. How do they run a set budget, $42 million in the red?
I don't know what case you're referencing. I have no clue.
Look it up. Just type in real quick. Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools.
Hey man. I bet there's probably a school out there that has had financial issues, right?
Dude,
I'm not
never
disputing
42
that.
million.
Can you
never
please shut the f up?
Yes.
Respectfully. And mute your damn mic. It's incredibly annoying that I have to hear the wind over and over again when I'm trying to speak. So like I guarantee there's a school somewhere like around the United States that has misused funding. I wouldn't dispute that, but the way that you would ensure that we have like, you know, accountability for those types of things is through federal jurisdiction, at least from the basis of us talking about which presidential candidate you're going to support. So if you want to support the educational rights of children, you wouldn't have gone against the Department of Education. Right. And I think that's insane.
I don't think the Department of Education, again, being in it, and you have kids who are in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade reading on 2nd and 3rd grade levels, and they're moving on to high school. I don't think that Department of Education is doing jack. The cream of the crop is going to rise.
So then what you're advocating for is reforms to the Department of Education that will better outcomes. Right, or working with the state specifically to ensure better outcomes, right, or building up communities, right, through social programs to ensure that children specifically have greater access to amenities that help them then become better students. You know what that is?
Correct. And my
you know what that would be? You know what that would involve? Social programs.
Fed does not help them.
Social programs that Republicans are defunding to give massive tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. So
no, the social programs don't. That's not gonna like
defunding the Department of Education is definitely gonna help with the funding issue. You know what I mean? Like, bro, it's ridiculous. Like, you got to talk about reforming it and using it in different ways, not getting rid of it. Getting rid of it is only something that's going to serve the interests of people who want a less informed populace. Right?
Dude,
I want my population of Americans, right, to be my country to be more informed. I would love that. I would love for us to be incredibly educated.
If they can't read, if kids can't read, they're not going to be informed. I mean, that's my point. And if the Department of Education has not solved the issue in 2025 on how to get every American how to read, then there's no point in having a public school system. Because
that just means that you have to address the problem differently. You just saying because problems haven't already been addressed, that means we can't ever address the problems is not a way to look at things in a manner in which is going to progress things, right?
You don't like my solution.
In a manner because you don't have a solution.
My
solution is going to harm people. I explained.
My solution is to take out the director of the director of the director and put the money into teachers. And you have 2 first grade academy teachers who are teaching these kids how to read. And if that costs me more money, I'll put more money in that in my taxes.
Okay, I understand. So you're advocating for federally recognized standards of education, right?
Yes.
Funded by taxpayers.
Yes.
That is antithetical to what Donald Trump's advocating for.
Well, neither side is going to get that done. But that is how you help Americans.
Who do you think? I think Democrats are way more likely to support increasing in funding of education.
Parker.
Didn't Biden literally try to advocate for multiple years of community college free and expanding educational rights for children? And the people who were opposing that were Republicans.
Parker, they have dumbed down. Look at the state of North Carolina. You need 22 credits to graduate high school. Like, they have dumbed down education so much. Like, the education system, again, I told you, the cream of the crop. My wife came from...
you don't even know how credits are probably, like, determined now. Like, there's probably a different basis for determining credits. I don't even know what that would even refer to.
I do. I'll tell you, they're in block scheduling. So you get 4 credits each semester. So that's 8 credits a year. So you can get 32 credits in your 4 years of high school. Most kids are going to come in with a couple credits from 7th and 8th grade. But I'm telling you, 22...
So you're saying that you only need to go to 2 years of school in order to graduate?
Correct. In North Carolina, you only need 3 years. They're advocating to graduate early.
Okay. So like so you can graduate early? Like, yeah, if you finish all of the conditions, yeah, you can graduate early. What's the issue?
Correct. 100%. North Carolina can. But I'm saying that doesn't help the kids.
Wait. What's the issue with graduating early? Like,
it doesn't help.
If you fulfill all the same credits, is it okay to graduate early?
Yes, absolutely. But it doesn't help the kids who actually need public education. Like, if I didn't have one day of public education, I would have been fine. My parents would have taught me. My wife, who's a doctor, if she didn't have one day of public education, she would have been fine.
I have a question.
She would become a doctor.
Is North Carolina a Republican-ran state?
No, it's a Democrat governor. Okay. But it's both. It's 50-50. Cities are blue, rural areas are red.
Are you in a rural area?
No, I'm in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. City tax.
And so it's like purple.
I do want you to look up that school system, and you'll see all the flaws.
Okay, I mean, but oftentimes, like I just think that, like, it's a reform to the system. It's not getting rid of it.
I agree, but
let me say thank you to a few people real quick. Jay, by the way, thank you for the $50. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Give me some W's for Jay in the comment section right now for the $50 on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Deserve everybody what comes to you. What you do and how you do it alone is education to me and so many others. Thank you so much, Jay. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much. Seriously, that's why I do this every single day. Like, it really means the world. Can we get some W's in the chat for Jay right now? W's in the chat for Jay. And then also, Leave, thank you so much. I appreciate the $7 Canadian. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. They said our Canadian healthcare system isn't the greatest, but they'd rather the Canadian healthcare system without having to pay hundreds. That's totally true. You know what I mean? Like, there's always, things to fix in terms of these systems, but it's like we want to ensure a baseline for everyone. And the U.S. doesn't even have that baseline for everyone. Sam, thank you for the $2. Thank you so much.
We do. We have Medicaid.
Wait, are you with it?
Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Schools.
No, okay, no, it's not the flat earther. Someone thought you were like a flat earther that's been on my live before.
No, we never talked.
Don't worry, it's fine. I thought you sounded differently.
And I'm telling you, I agree with a lot of stuff you're saying. And as far as human rights, absolutely, I agree with a lot of it. But I'm just saying there has to be, and there's always, like, a lot of people come up here and, like, you're logical. Do you not deny there will always be rich and there will always be poor?
What? No, I don't think that.
I'm asking you.
No, I don't think that there will always be that. Like, in the future, at some point, we will create conditions where that won't be the case, where everyone will be given basic amenities because we will automate practically most services. Right? We will.
That's just not logical.
Well, it is. We will.
No.
You don't think in 500 years we're going to automate practically every type of work that we're going to be able to, like, not have to, like, work in that type of way to be able to survive anymore? Like, all mundane labor will be automated.
So whoever created that labor will be the ultimate keepers of everyone else, right?
No, because at that point we would then have to, as a society, move to something that is more socially owned.
But dude, we're not talking about 500 years. We're talking how we're going to change the next 70 for us and our kids and our grandkids. And that isn't logically a thought.
Yeah, I'm talking about well in the future. I don't know what you're.
Yeah. But I'm saying right now,
you just said that it's always going to be this way, and I'm saying no. We can even try to. Can you please mute your mic whenever? Because, like, the wind is unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable. So, like, we can try to limit these types of things as much as we possibly can within the conditions of our system right now. Right? We can operate and work on that right now. right? But at some point, yes, I do believe that we will get to a point where that type of distinction, right, in terms of that wouldn't exist anymore, because it is the case that we have that manufacturing, distribution, the whole production process of goods completely automated. Like a future will exist like that. We probably won't exist in that future,
So,
but
so right now, no,
our children's, our grandchildren's grandchildren might, right?
yeah. So I gave you my solution, how to actually help Americans, with my first grade reading academy solution. What would be your solution to kind of get
I don't think that's a solution, but those are things that we can add on. I don't have all the solutions. Yeah. I don't have all the solutions. I want you to listen to me real quick. I think this is a really important thing. I don't have all the solutions for education. I'm not a specialist on education. I don't know everything that would be most effective specifically for applying it within the context of the education process. But I do know that it takes funding and it takes federal protections to make sure that everywhere around the United States has this, in every state and local jurisdiction, because plenty of rural communities don't get that same type of access, right? Plenty of states don't get that certain type of access because of the particular politicians in those areas, because of the people who are in power in those areas. And I want to limit the ability of people who are in power in those areas based upon literally like corporations influencing them or lobbyists influencing them, right? I would care more that we have those federal protections so that those don't get eroded, those educational rights. So because it inevitably will happen in the interests of like corporations.
Yeah. So again, that's why I'm against just having because if the federal education actually cared about Americans, they would have created more teaching jobs to make smaller classroom size and have more certified teachers. And then that gives
that's totally. I'm fine with that. I think that's good.
That gives your poor a chance to make it, because it creates trailblazers.
I don't like referring to like people like in that context. I don't know.
But it's the truth. It is the truth.
I would just say people in need. Like just like the terminology. I don't know.
People in need. Sorry. Yeah. No. I agree. People in need. If you can't read though, if you can't read, a person in need who can't read, they can't function as a job, even as low of a level of working at Starbucks or Chick-fil-A, right? If you can't read, you can't do that job.
So obviously, like, again, you're just explaining how basic educational rights are very important.
And I'm saying they've failed us as Americans, as a group, as a community.
So I just want to let you know that you don't necessarily have to read to do all jobs. There are plenty of jobs you can do without having to read. I do just want to clarify that, but like listen, I don't like the terminology, but like having the like education provided for people to be able to like know how to read is important. But I can acknowledge that, like, for example, someone might not be able to read, especially like be able to read English and still be able to like do work in the country, like, do you understand that at least?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I can agree to that. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna respond to someone real quick, and then I'll get back to this. Caleb, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much on YouTube Super Chat. They said, I'm a special ed teacher. Kids can only learn when they are fed, well rested, and connected. Taking the Department of Education away only allows for states to remove special education protections around. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Caleb. Thank you. Sage, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much for graduating in 2019. And we only needed 18 credits. So I think maybe credits are determined differently based on the areas. I don't know. I actually don't even remember what the credit system was where I was.
I mean, you can easily, it's North Carolina's 22 credits to graduate.
Hold on. Okay, cool. Thank you for telling me again. Sage, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. They said, how many people here ever buy paper towels, extra pencils for the beginning of the year because school doesn't provide it? Yeah, that's literally though. That should never have to be a thing. That should never have to be a thing. I think that should be provided. And Nada, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. They just announced the defunding of Job Corps a few days ago. Go to the budget for next year. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then all right, you can go. Wait, actually, hold up. I need to pick up on PayPal and Venmo real quick. Give me 1 second. Casey, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. To tentatively celebrate Trump and Elon breakup. Amber, thank you for the $1.52. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's so sick. That's so sick. I'm glad that you were able to talk to them about that. UL, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $10. I actually don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Emily, thank you for the $1. I don't quite know. Talia, thank you so much for the $7. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. They said, I'm Canadian. I need 30 credits to graduate. 10 to my French immersion program. Hold on, let me get that. Oh. Okay. And the only reason we need this much is because of the Ministry of Education, which is equivalent to the Department of Education in the USA. If he wants more credits required, he should be advocating for more funding to the Department of Education so that they can add more requirements if he wants. So
that wasn't my argument. I'm just saying they've dumbed down education so much. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Like, okay, so you want more federal education, like?
No, I just standards. I'm saying I just want standards to be met.
Okay. So you want standards to be met. So if you want standards, if you want standards to be met, then you need something to enforce those standards from a federal basis, right? Tina, thank you for the galaxy. Thank you, Tina.
Why? How is the Fed going to control every individual county? That's again.
They set standards already. That's how it works. They set federal standards, and then the states and local areas have to uphold those. Yes, they do.
They don't.
You don't think there are federally recognized standards for education in this country?
IEPs, yes. IEPs are federally.
So
yes.
you just contradicted yourself. Nice job.
But again, I don't know how you don't see that our education system is not to help the needed individuals who need help rise up. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to, but I'm saying it's not built to create everyone a middle class life, and it should be.
Yeah. So, what you're not understanding, right, is that again, reducing access to education reduces social mobility. What you're doing is reducing access to education and reducing social mobility. So, I don't know how you can sit there and act like you're doing something that's going to like benefit people in the long run.
Crushing the Department of Education is not reducing schools.
It is reducing access to education. It is, absolutely.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is. You can lie. You can say all you want, but like that's a lie.
Not.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. You do not have any data that says the Department of Education creates schools in the United States.
I don't have any data indicating that it establishes federal standards of education. And that you getting rid of the Department of Education with literally nothing to replace it is going to reduce access to education. What I just said is objectively true. It will absolutely reduce access to education because certain areas around the United States will be able to restrict it now, whereas they wouldn't have been able to otherwise because those federally recognized standards exist.